Grace and peace, everyone. Grace and peace to you. The Southern Baptist Convention is coming up next week. And if you paid attention last year and the months that followed after it, and even the weeks now leading up to this conference, you already know there's going to be some fireworks to be seen in New Orleans. So today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to pull back up an article by a friend of the channel, Virgil Walker. And I am not going to read it to you. However, I do commit this to you. I'll leave a link down in the description. Virgil does an outstanding job of giving a timeline of the issues and situations that have been going on in the Southern Baptist Convention. But Jason, you're a Presbyterian. You don't even care about that. Well, no, that's not true. I do care about my brothers and sisters. Whether we disagree on baptism is completely and totally apart from the situation. The Southern Baptist Convention does represent a large number of what people consider to be Christianity. So if the Southern Baptist Convention goes one direction, the vast majority of people, mistakenly or not, see that as the direction that Christianity is traveling in, and especially here in the United States. So I am concerned and interested in this because this is what people see as Christianity, but then also is what people see as it relates to how serious Christians are taking issues and matters that pertain to what God's word has said. So let us look at it. I'm going to commit this to you. And by the way, if you go to the link, and it's down in the description below, Virgil actually reads this to you. He does a great job because there are some names in here. He's referring to some providence in Japan and the Asian Pacific that I would have totally messed up. But man, Virgil does a great job of reading it. So even if nothing else, go listen to it, to listen to Virgil read it to you because it's really great. So let's just give you a little quick summary of what's going on. So, and I have my notes here. The Southern Baptist Convention, and we know that to be the SBC, has just completely ignored warning signs that things are going on in the SBC that need to be addressed on a large and grand scale. They've just been ignoring it. And a couple examples of the MLK 50 event back in 2018. That was probably the warning bell. I believe Virgil, mentions that it was a tremor and it's such of that nature. When the SBC started highlighting racial disparations and racial issues as gospel issues, that was one of the first signs that they were in some bad times. After that followed the Me Too movement, after Brett Kavanaugh was nominated for Supreme Court Justice. And after that came the Church Too movement, spearheaded a lot by people like Beth Moore and other egalitarians and feminists in the Southern Baptist Convention. Again, more issues and situations that the SBC should have and could have slammed their foot on the brakes and addressed and dealt with, and not just to get done with them, but to properly deal with them biblically, not just say, hey, you don't like this, I don't like this, it's bad. It's what does the scriptures teach? And it was a great opportunity for them to do that. However, I think because they brought in the MLK 50, later on they're going to be Resolution 9, they embraced and did not address the Me Too, Church Too movement properly and biblically. I think they left themselves wide open. They left themselves super exposed to now this complementarianism or egalitarianism debate and what many of us just call soft complementarianism, where basically you're arguing against the position of the complementarian because you're basically an egalitarian. So that debate has picked up, and that's really where they're gonna end up landing this week coming up in the SBC conference. So then again, Resolution 9 came into play, and Resolution 9 basically was saying that CRT can be used as a lens to view situations biblically. It can be treated as an analytical tool, which again, I refute wholeheartely on its face. And the reason I do that is because of the societal impacts of Black Lives Matters, the protests that happened in the Summer of Love of 2020 and such of that nature. We see that there's a problem. We see that this is not right, but people just want to blind eye it, look the other way and just keep on going. Now, let's bring it forward into really in the last 18 to 24 months. Rick Warren, Saddleback Church. Y'all know how I feel about Ricky Dub. Rick Warren ordains 3 women pastors. Just so happens to be right before the convention, which I thought was interesting. And that goes against the Baptist faith and message, which says that women cannot lead in the church environment or have a leadership role in the church. And that's over men. And that was pretty clear. Rick did that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Now, and of course, that the Baptist Faith and Message of 2000 is the BFNM 2000 is where many people pointed to, many people refer back to. If you're Baptist, you're familiar with that. And the SBC credentialing committee came back and said, well, yeah, it's sort of not really clear. Can women really be pastors? They were ignoring the warning signs. They ignored the earthquakes. They ignored the rumblings. And now look where they're going to be. So now Rick Warren, he cites his reasoning for why he ordained women. And it was 100% emotional, 100%. There was no biblical response for why he did that, And I know many people are going to say, well, he quoted Bible. That's not what the scriptures were teaching, though. Rick Warren gave his own spin on the scriptures, and therein is the problem. So Rick Warren cited emotional reasons and selective Bible passages, which again I just mentioned, to support his position for women pastors, rather than addressing the qualifying, outlining scriptures in the text. Because if you look at the qualifying scriptures for the role of a pastor, there's no way you can merge those with what Rick said in the text. And you'll see that in the article. If you go look in the article, Virgil does a great job of pointing out many of these passages that Rick refers to, and he refutes them on their face. So he does a great job of refuting them. And I'm trying to find where it is. It should be right here somewhere. You're going to find it when you go back and read this. So I'm not going to bog you down with listening to me ramble about that. So when you go back and find it. Now, because the SBC has embraced pragmatism, which is basically the ends justify the means, if what we do creates an environment that grows our churches, then it's got to be okay. Because they have a cultural drift, because they've embraced critical race theory and other ideologies that are anti-biblical, because they've ignored the sexual abuse cases and didn't deal with those scandals in the right kind of way, it's left them totally exposed to what's going to happen moving forward. So now the question that people need to ask as we're getting ready to watch the SBC chicanery happen next week is whether the SBC can withstand the approaching egalitarian tsunami and stand on high ground of scriptural sufficiency. I think that my own personal opinion is that the SBC has a couple of options, and you're going to hear this moving forward. There's many other YouTubers, many other podcasters that are also going to be talking about this. So I don't want to steal their thunder, but there's one of two options really the SBC has. They can let Saddleback in. They disfellowship them because they have female pastors, and they kicked them out of the SBC. That's one option, and they exercise that option. Rick Warren has since created a total dumpster fire of just clownery and chicanery, and I'll let other people discuss that as well. But even though he's no longer the pastor, I have no idea. So they can just let Saddleback in and just let it go. And the reason I say let Saddleback in is kind of like what Justin Peters said. Justin Peters pointed out that there are a ton of other SBC churches that have similar situations. They have female pastors, female leads, and so on and so forth. That, are you going to kick all of them out? But then even more than that, there are other churches that have other egregious sins, like baptizing homosexuals, pastors who are divorced. There are other situations that are going on that if they're going to clean house, they really need to clean house. And the question that people need to ask themselves, is the SBC going to hold to that? Is SBC willing? Do I believe that the SBC is willing to stand on that and make those hard calls and remain diligent until the very end? I don't think they are. I really don't. So therefore, I'm not holding out hope that they are going to be willing to do that. Now, they might. Maybe they will surprise us and say, yes, we're going to hold the line, and all these 500, 600 churches, you are also disfellowship because you have female pastors, you have this situation going on, you're baptizing homosexuals, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Bang, you're out of here. That'd be great. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Sadly, what I think is going to end up happening, and I just believe this is what I can't say emphatically, but in my opinion, I believe what's going to happen is there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a split in the SBC. Now, mind you, the SBC is not a denomination. It is a fellowship of like-minded Baptist churches. So it's not a denomination like Presbyterian, like I'm a PCA member. We're a member of a PCA denomination, Presbyterian Church of America denomination. Or, a brother or sister maybe in a Lutheran denomination or whatnot. SBC is really not a denomination. It is just a coalition of like-minded churches. Now, the reason I bring that up is because there's not a hard and fast rule about how to become or remain a member of the SBC, apart from certain agreements that you might make. But if you look at it, there's a lot of churches that aren't following the Baptist faith and message now. So I don't think that Saddleback is the most, Saddleback is the most pronounced and in your face church that's violating the SBC's Baptist faith and message, but they're not the only ones. So what I think is going to end up happening is going to be a split. Now, I don't know how it's going to shake out. 600 or so churches are going to leave and go start their own denomination. And those churches that are holding fast to the line, they're going to stay with the SBC. That's possible. Or the faithful churches will leave and start their own denomination, a true denomination. And the unfaithful, let's just say 600 churches remain, and they'll be the SBC, and this will be the new SBC over here. I don't know. I have no idea why and how this is going to shake out. I do find it interesting, however, since Rick Warren is no longer a member of a church, he's not a pastor of a church, his interest in this should cause you to wonder, why is he doing this? And I personally think there are some good reasons why he's doing this and behaving in this manner. And I think we'll see it if the denomination or the fellowship, the coalition, the organization, whatever you want to call the SBC, if it splits or starts to splinter, I really think you'll see why Rick Warren is involved in this at all, because it is a question like, why do you care, Rick? You should be out playing golf in your, doing your life. Why are you so worried about this? I think there's a reason why. But I appreciate you again, everyone. Please go check out Virgil's blog on the G3 website. It'll be down in the description, as well as Justin Peters' response to what the SBC should do this coming week. This is a great article, and I really think that as you're going to see more and more conversation about it, I think this is a great primer to bring you up to speed on what's happening in the SBC and why you should be concerned, even if you're not a Baptist, even if you're just a non-denominational person or whatever. It's still interesting, and it should still cause you to pray for your brothers and sisters in the SBC, to pray for all of these people that are making these decisions, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when everything is awash, we are trying to make much of Christ. And these people, again, assuming the best of them, they want to make the most of Christ. They want to bring honor and glory to Christ. The best way to do that would be to be unified in how we approach and deal with sin, deal with differences and such of that nature. It would be the best way to do it. So that's it. I appreciate you checking this out. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Dear Woke Christian, the podcast. This video will no longer be on Dear Woke Christian. It will be on Dear Woke Christian, the podcast, and down in the description, I'll leave that link as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Grace and peace.